My name's Chris. I work for G. I've been here for about 2 years. I live on the other side of the Illinois border in Wisconsin. So it took a couple hours to shoot down. I'm glad to be here finally. I come from the train of thought with Inservices and stuff is I can't meet you all where you're not. And especially from an educational perspective, I can only meet you where you're at. So how much do you guys know about this machine?
Well, the new one, I think, not much, because you're seeing the strides and the unusual and the foot, you know, 48, 53, 46, you know, like so. I don't know squat. I know that if it's over 3 miles per hour, then it's done.
And we'll dive into that.
Okay.
So the interface is different, right?
Right.
What else do you guys know?
Puts people in there to take weight off of them.
Okay.
You can like log in, or you can have, they can say the pain for this amount, and then they can send like an email of the report to them.
Correct. And yourself? What else?
You can see the feet on the camera.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else?
It'll give you like a breakdown of the gait mechanics, step length and cadence.
So, and thank you. How about how this thing actually unweights?
No.
With air.
Magic.
It's
Yeah,
not black.
sensors. I don't know if they still have only 4 sensors in there.
It's not black magic, I promise.
Sensor
So-
weight.
We at G do one thing really well, and that's overcomplicate this thing. And I swear to you. So here's the way that it works. Just think of the treadmill as a scale. And that scale has 4 sensors in each corner. They're load cells. And those load cells tell the blower or the differential air pressure system how much air pressure is required to unweight a person. End of story. It doesn't do anything greater than that. Make sense? It's going to be finicky. It is by nature because you're controlling body weight in 1% increments. So it's taking measurements, I think it's like 100 times a minute as it relates to that body weight as you've manipulated it and as the air pressure as you've manipulated it, and it keeps your patients at a static number. The important part to that is if you have someone in rehab and they're post-surgery or post-injury, it's really important not to give them 20 to 30% of their body weight back arbitrarily, right? Keeps them consistent, and then you guys can start to progressively lower. Make sense? So as it relates to the shorts are what create the seal. So again, we're using air pressure. So oftentimes, with your old machine, how often did you replace shorts?
A lot.
And is it from runners, or is it from a little bit of all of the above?
All the above.
So think of your shorts as like the sacrificial lamb with the machine. Friction's going to break it down. If you have a cash pay business, I would suggest you charge your runners for their shorts. Have them buy their own shorts.
Oh, wow.
People do. In the running community, what you do to offset the cost, sometimes you can say, listen, if you buy a pair of shorts, we'll give you a couple free sessions in the machine. But
How much are shorts?
I think they're $70
Oh.
for a pair.
Oh, okay.
So the reason for that is you'll have a clinical set, and then you'll have your running set. The running set, given the amount of time that someone's spending in running, typically runners will go 80% of their body weight and go for 40 minutes and just bang it out. They're running the machine at 8 miles an hour. Your clinical sets, people are probably in the machine for 10 to 15 minutes at 80% of their body weight. The treadmill never goes over 2.5 minutes. Make sense? So the point is, the shorts will burn out. If this thing starts throwing calibration errors, the shorts are the first thing you should index. So take a look at them. Your runners will burn them out sooner, but randomly or ever use, put them up to the light. If you can see light passing through there, that means that you can see air passing through it. Make sense? So you guys ever put a pair of shorts on and it's just air screaming around the person? One of two things. The shorts either have a hole in them or they're too big of shorts. If they have holes in them, cut them so that someone can't get in it, so that you don't go through the process of putting someone in the shorts, getting them into the machine, turning it on, and then you just lost 10 minutes.
Right.
I always say cut them, cut the zipper, make sure it doesn't end up on a person, put it on someone's desk so that you guys get another order of the shorts. Make sense? So to get into a bit of the anatomy of the machines, this looks way different than you guys' old machine, right? So this is the bag. Since this bag's brand new, you're going to have to start to encourage it. The new bags are awesome too, by the way, compared to the old bags. Encourage it to accordion down that way. There's a step plate here. If the patient stands on the window, it's not going to hurt it. If they're tap dancing with high heels on, it'll probably ruin the bag over some time. But try to get them to aim there. Is it going to happen every time? Probably not. And then when they get back in, there's handles on the side of the bag. Why we put black handles on a black bag is absolutely beyond me, but I'm not in product engineering design. And then there's magnets that hold this up. What do you guys think supports the patient? The magnets, these rails, or the bag? Bingo. One of the biggest misconceptions is that this is what's holding the patient up, and it's not. It's the bag. And more specifically, it's this ring. And this ring is called the coning tower. So one of the things that you're going to realize with this, with your guys earlier with your machine, one of the biggest feedback that we got, especially from the running community, was that arms.
Yep.
So they would say we whack our funny bone probably 30 times during the session during running the machine. So what this coning tower allows you to do is set the cockpit height a little bit lower than what you need to do. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we get a ton of feedback on is that or a ton of questions on is where do I set this cockpit height? Where do you guys think you set it?
Waist?
If I want to give someone more support, I think of the old unit. And they know the trunk support, someone who's not a runner. I actually raise it higher because they don't have the trunk support. So it depends on the person for me.
How about the rest of you?
I'm with Tim, and then when I had runners, like I never had my runners bang because I kept
Right.
it down here.
Right.
So I was like, I never had
We learned that real quickly.
Yeah, so someone give you like, oh.
Yeah.
So the point is, your answer is correct. It depends on what you're doing in the machine. The manufacturer's recommendation is iliac crest is where you start. Well, if you have someone doing deep squats and you set them at if you set it at the iliac crest, they'll never get into a deep squat.
Right.
So set the cockpit a little bit lower. So this coning tower gives you that latitude. Now, if you have someone that's really tall, or let's say, if you guys ever do static stuff where you put like a step box in the machine?
No,
You can.
I have.
You can, but guess what happens when you put a step box in the machine? The patient starts to step out of the back, out of the shorts. It's okay if they come out a little, but what that means is you'll set the cockpit height higher for that person. And then this also will facilitate a taller person than what it would have without the coning tower, the original coning towers. And then from a business, just a little bit of a product improvement perspective, the old machines, when this coning tower burnt out, you'd have to replace the whole back. This one now is replaceable, so it zips in and out. So
Way easy.
$50 compared to $3 grand. Way easier, much more economical too. So there's been some improvements along the way. Make sense? Chad, you've never been in? All right, come on over here. Hope you did it wrong. Yep. This way. All right, so we're gonna pull the magnet up. Now, when you put your shorts on, when you guys have your patients put your shorts on,
Yeah.
encourage them to grab the neoprene on the inside and not this gasket. What'll happen is over time is that they'll grab this gasket and that material will just tear.
So grab what?
Grab the neoprene on the inside of it. So bunch it up, pull it up. You want them to be, I like to phrase it like, you guys, are these the original shorts or are these part of the new shorts?
No, we have had.
So, thank you.
These are our originals.
So you want them to be almost uncomfortable for your patient. You want them to be in pain? No. But again, these shorts are what create the seal. So the looser that they are, you want them to be a little tight. Well, we're going to tuck this ring into the bag.
So what happens when you have a bigger person and it's hard to tuck that ring in because we have several of those.
In the old days, you could just stick them in some of them. Without the shorts.
You can do that with the machine. You can put someone in without the shorts on. What will happen? Is that it won't calibrate down to 20% if you don't get a good seal. So you can put towels around them. I, as the rep, being an FDA regulated machine, I can't suggest anything outside of the shorts, outside of the way that it is. We have a white paper where they did a weight loss study with a guy that was morbidly obese and he couldn't fit into the shorts, and they literally got him into a machine without the shorts, and he lost weight as a result of it. So they did like a patient satisfaction study. So, and you bring up a good point, Pam. I think a lot of sales reps will come in and be really naive and be like, listen, this is the best thing since Florence Nightingale. Put every single patient that has a heartbeat in here and we're going to solve all of you guys' problems. It's a great tool for a lot of patients, not every patient. So what you're going to run into is there are some workarounds, like you mentioned without the shorts, but also a lot of those people that typically have a higher BMI, they're pretty wide, right?
Yeah.
So what you'll run into is you'll run out of room this way. So it's the only result, as it relates to using an Alter G, the only solution to that at this point would have been buying a Pro system because it's wider. The downside to that is that if you buy a Pro system, you don't have a higher step up because you have a bigger treadmill. So when we have conversations in terms of Fran reaches out and says which machine should we get? Well, this is going to suit them. This will catch the lion's share of your patients, right? So use your discretion. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So the ring's in. And if you can't get the ring in around the patient, sometimes you do have to get up close and personal with folks too. We're gonna zip. Another thing too, how many of you guys have kids? So you know when you're putting their jackets on in the wintertime and the zippers always fight with you? One of the things you can do is take your thumb, put it in front of the zipper as you pull it up, and it'll push all that fabric out of the way so it doesn't get hung up in the zipper. I'm not a fan of the zipper loop that we suggest sometimes with these things, just because truthfully, I think it messes with the seal. I can't prove that. So we have the cockpit set height. You guys come on in close. So right now, Chad, the machine's waving. The way that data pulls that you see with the Stride Smart. So Stride Smart's an awesome tool. It by no stretch of the imagination will remove any data analysis that you guys are doing now. It just adds another layer of visibility into that patient. And what it does is as you're walking on the machine, remember there's a scale in there and there's 4 load cells. So it's calculating how much of your body weight based on the calibration is going left to right, and then how long your feet are on the deck. Make sense?
So you're saying it's calibrating now?
It's weighing them right now.
So that explains why it's quicker. Seeing the other one.
So calibration process will go faster.
Yeah.
So and it communicates it. Now, if you have bad shorts on, it'll take longer. So, but as you're walking on the machine, so the reason I mention that is if it goes above 3 miles an hour, so it's calculating data as you're walking and you're on the treadmill, front to back, left to right, right? When you turn the treadmill up and someone's running, guess what happens to their stance? It's completely different. So not only your feet are in flight longer than they're on the deck, and you've manipulated someone's body weight, so not only are your feet on the time less, there's less weight going on. So Stride Smart, what ends up happening is it has to average out the steps in running mode, and we don't get consistent enough data to populate the fields. So what we do is we turned it off for now. It could change in the software update, but right now we said from a consistency and safety perspective, it makes sense to just leave it out. Make sense? So on this screen here, there's the start, and then there's Alter G Assistant. Do you guys know what Alter G Assistant is?
No.
Pre-programmed workouts.
Yeah, I know. We don't have any of that.
They're on there.
Oh.
They're built
I
in.
saw them, but
They're built in already.
oh, should we have hit this to start?
Yep. So let's.
I tried to use them.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
You can also build your own. So on alterg.com, under support, you can build your own workouts. So we're gonna hit the start session. Make sure you're zipped. Make sure the cockpit's secured. It is. Make sure your feet are flat on the deck and cross your arms. The reason why you're crossing your arms is so that all of your weight goes into it. You don't have to go to the bathroom, do you?
Not yet.
Okay, just go.
We didn't even throw it in.
Yeah, there's lunch over there too, guys, if you're hungry.
There you go. I know, but you're
So bring me up to your toes yet?
Almost.
So try to fight that. It's okay if you don't. But try to keep your feet flat.
Oh, okay.
So literally what it's doing, so again, it's weighing you and it's checking your body weight to the air pressure right now. way down. We'll start session. So what you're looking at here is how you drive the machine. The old machine had like 1, 2, 3, reverse, you got to turn it on. That's all been integrated into this. So you're at the session screen now. That will always bring you back to this screen. Here's video. Here's your feet. Here's the gate tool. It's not going to populate because the treadmill's not on. Here's the pain recording. And then if you wanted to go into pre-programmed workouts, they're all there. On this side, here's the incline of the treadmill. Here's your body weight. So what I like to do, Fran, for a lot of people, is I'm going to bring you down to half your body weight.
That's the protocol.
Well, just for this, squat down and let the shorts kind of ride up. You'll sink a little bit further into the machine.
So you do that
Feel
for
the
every
short-
day before you start?
If they're able, it's just if it seems like, well, if it seems like your shorts aren't high enough on them,
Yeah.
so have them do a nice deep squat. And the reason why you go down to 50% eight is that it'll support them. So try to take your feet off the deck. Like try to fall right now. Pick your feet up.
Oh, see, I would have never done that. I would have been
It will totally hold your body weight up.
Wow.
Why is that important? Like vestibular and like concussion protocols and whatnot, you can't fall while you're in the machine. Make sense?
Even though it's 50%, it'll
That's at
support it.
50%. That's at 50%. Even if you're at 80%, you might hit the deck. But anyways, so from a gait perspective,
So we just showed at 50%, you just lift your feet up slowly, and then we'll
try to go to your knees now.
on my knees.
Yeah,
No,
put on
my
your knees. Pick your feet up. So it'll still.
Oh, even at 80.
So the important thing to note here is that if you do get into an emergency situation and someone's falling, you're not going to hit the belt and get drugged. It'll hold them up.
That's
If you
cool.
do, just pull this red mark. So now, what do you typically do with walking speeds?
Well, 3 hours the average, but you know, you bring it up according to the person. He's at. He's not at.
So I'll set you at like 2.8 or 2.9. The machine will start walking, or the belt will start moving at a half a mile an hour. This does an FYI. I'm sorry, in a tenth of a mile an hour. So what you're looking at now, so this is stride smart. So back to those load cells. You're at 49% body weight on your left, 51 on your right. These two numbers are your actual step length. So from a symmetrical perspective, you want to try to get all of these numbers to match. So again, it's not, from a gait analysis perspective, it doesn't replace your visual. It just gives you a layer of information that you didn't have before. Now, what you can measure is you can start to record the information. So we're going to record and we're going to see what all of these metrics equalize as it relates to your gait. So I'm going to record for 10 seconds. I'll click stop. And I'll take another 10% away of your body weight and record again. We'll give you another 10 seconds. I'll stop recording. And I'll take another 10% away and record again. Why do you think only 10% increments? Exactly. So what happens is as you record, what'll happen is people will click record and do record for the entire session, and then they change these metrics throughout it. It's taking averages throughout that. So what Stride Smart does is it gives you visibility into what the effects of someone's body weight is. If you take data and record it for over than 10 seconds, you start to get into like duration type testing, and you can see what the duration is. Make sense?
Yeah, so what do you think about, so we got his stride, 29, 28, and his weight on each thing, 50-50, and it moves a little bit. So is that, you say, oh, that's good.
So if they're symmetrical, right?
Yeah, that's ideal.
That's what you want to do is give them 10% back, record the info,
Yeah.
we'll stop. You can start to see where the deficiency is
Yeah.
as it relates to body
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah. Well, that's
So-
definitely I've been using it for that, but not taking pictures.
So if you record the data, what it'll do, Fran, is it'll give you a sense of information based on that visit and that
Right.
person's recovery, right?
Right.
But you can use it to find baseline for body weight with your patients. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Just to say this is what this looks like. And then another component to this also,
Yeah, this is good. I like the paint.
the pain indicator is go ahead and pick a number and then set pain level. The reason why that's important is it takes the as tolerated, you just quantify it. So you can say, how's that feel, Mr. Smith? Well, turns out that he's had arthritis in his knees, and no matter what, he's always in pain, right? Well, how much? Well, at 3, if you knock his body weight down and say, oh, Mr. Smith, you're at 50% body weight, does it hurt? No. Awesome. Give him 10% back. Does that hurt? It's starting to. Great. At what level? You can start to fine tune numerically where they're at. Does it make sense to do it with every patient? Not necessarily. But if you're trying to figure out where they're at in their progress, you now can put a timeline and numbers to it. Make sense? So we'll go back to our session. So any questions as you guys look at it now? No? Pretty simple? So now what we're going to do, a couple of things before we walk away. There's a pause and a stop. So if you hit stop, it'll turn the machine off. If you hit pause, what it'll do is it'll stop the belt. And when it stops the belt, you don't have to go through the calibration process again. If you hit stop, then you have to turn the machine back on. It has to inflate, it has to calibrate. So then that way. So like, let's say you just did your walk, right? All right, I want you to do single leg squats now. So pick a leg up, you can go into a different activity and then have them walk. Make sense?
But I could like extend that
No.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't. Yeah, because what'll happen is if we unzip them right now, you'll lose all the pressure and the machine will turn off. Make sense? Anything else you want to do while you're in there? How's it feel? Good. Pretty cool, right? Okay. All right. Let me unzip you.
So did you hear our little?
I didn't.
Well, he didn't run. I was going to see let him
Well,
run.
yeah, but walking, I think.
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely.
You should have just stood back there.
Sports guys. So here's all the information in the recordings that we did. You have to highlight them. You can send as many as you want. You can either export it to a USB or you can send it by email. So here's,
You'll go right to your email. Or I sent it to me.
I'll send one to you, Fran, and then we'll do Chad 12-1. And we'll send a report. So go to your email if you want to share it with everybody, and it'll give you a sense of what you're looking at. And what it calculates and what it collects is that it gives you all of the information that you've had in those little recordings that you did. So depending upon what you're trying to find out for the patients, and what you're trying to learn for that patient, it'll send all of it in a PDF form, and then you can either use it with your patient to say, hey, you're either not returning to sport, activity, what have you, or if you need to send it back out to a physician. The best thing about that is it's, I love asking this question, but how many of you guys have seen physicians' orders that say 50% weight bearing?
Yeah, all the time. 25, 50.
How do you think they came up with that number?
They made it up. That's it. They don't know squat.
So, well, here's the thing, right? In a manuscript somewhere, where this guy was in medical school, it just gave them a rough number that's less than full body, right? How many of you that use this on a regular basis put your patients at 50% weight bearing? At 50%?
You mean here?
Yeah.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, but how many of you do that from a therapeutic perspective and stay at 50%?
No.
No one.
Right.
Most of the time, we probably would have been equally as successful with this machine if it went down to 80% body weight.
Mm-hmm.
Because most therapies start there.
Right.
So what you'll find is with Stride Smart is that you'll find where that equalization of their gait and where the balance of their gait is. It'll typically be anywhere from 70, and I'll even say down to 60%. Anything less than that, if you want to get some longer duration out of people, you can. So a couple of things too, Chad, and for all of you guys, when you're using these, if you haven't, when you return your patient back, give them a minute or two and give them 5 to 10% of their body weight back. so that when they get back to walking over ground, they're back walking over their full body weight. Some people haven't gone that type of distance in a very long time, so they're going to be more fatigued when they get back to ground. Make sense? It's just something to be conscious of as you're working through it. So I hate to ask you to do this.
Wrong again?
No, you did it right. You did it right. You have to put them on backwards though.
What?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. I knew what we were gonna do.
So I'll show you. So one of the things that a lot of people, we get a ton of, where a lot of our growth has come from is, the way I like to position this to new customers is I say, this is a progressive.
You had it right the first time.
I did. No, the
One
second
step ahead of
time.
it.
The second time. It's a progressive loading tool that you can't fall in. So if you have patients that are challenged with like balance and things of that nature, you can put them in the shorts backwards and have them face out, drop their body weight, it'll support them, and you now can do dual and triple tasking type exercises. So you can start put the machine in reverse, play ball toss, have them do body leaning stuff. And then for like your ACL and your athletic folks, you can do downhill exercises so that you're starting to get into overextension type therapy. So jump in. And then face backwards. Never even thought of it.
I see everybody walking back with them.
All right, are you ready?
So the bottom line is, if I want to do a protocol, I have to look at the protocol.
You're getting also the assistant, start connected to the machine. We'll go through and go through your workouts. It even makes sense too, like if you want to build workouts for people. It's kind of fun. I've never had the time to play around with it.
Right.
I don't have one of these things at home either, but I almost bought these. Yeah, believe it or not, I convince a lot of people to do this a year. So, well, I thought about buying a used one for the house. My wife's got half of them, but she knows the run. That's what happens when you're on the back. So. But instead, we're putting a bar in and we're just going to send them out to the
Drink your pain away.
Well, we got 4 kids.
You won't be able to pay that.
All right, so I'm just going to drop your body weight down. So your guys' machine has reverse on it also. So we'll go reverse up to 3 miles an hour. Way down. So I'm going to put you in the reverse. You're just going to start walking forward, okay? So go at a mile an hour.
That's unique.
Wait, what's up the percentage
You're at that. So now, I'm going to start to raise the incline, okay? So your incline will go all the way up to 15%. Should be able to start to come up now. Might not reverse this.
So she's walking downhill?
Correct. Is the deck coming up?
I feel it. Yeah, I feel like my heels going up.
You can see it, it's just moving next to slot. So you'll start to walk downhill. It should be coming up higher. It is. The camera's on the treadmill. As it comes up, yeah. So you're starting to do downhill exercises. So for like ACL, yep. You want it to go faster, just let me know. I'll bring you back down to flat. It should come to the
So
center.
you might have to do the incline before you do the reverse. Then you can bring it down.
So now, if you're facing backwards, go ahead and pick one foot up off the deck and do a single leg squat. Come back up.
People working out this stuff.
So for like quad strength and things of that nature, so the way I used it was a clinic near our house, and I bought some blood flow restriction bands, and my kids and I race bikes. Well, from a dead stop, it's all quad strength. So I bought BFR cuffs, and I would get in and I would do 30 reps per leg at half my body weight to get burnout less time. It's insane how well that works. But without that, I can't do a single leg squat over ground. I'll fall. I don't have the ankle mobility for it, truthfully.
Single, for sure.
So the ankles are brutal. So I go upstairs, I just tell my wife, I'm like, hey, you ever see a single, you know what pistol squat is? She goes, yeah. I go, I've been trying it all day, I can't do it. I'm falling all over the office while on conference calls, you know?
Yeah.
My wife drops right into one. She used to be a figure skater, so her ankles are awesome. So, point being, so now for this, like if you guys do have balance patients and whatnot, you can put a balance disc in, and they can face out. You can have them do leans, you can do weight shifting exercises with it. It's all different types of exercises you can do with it. You just have to be creative and up to come up with it. Make sense?
Yep.
All done? All done, stop. And then exit session. Okay? And we're all done. And we'll unzip you.
Way to go, Randy.
You look good, man. Any questions?
No? I don't.
Is that far and away than what you guys were expecting?
Well, the backwards, I didn't. Yeah.
So think about it in that capacity.
Well, going down an incline is put way more stress on the knee than going up. So that's a great thing for ACLs.
Yep. So one of the things I always leave people with this, and I can promise you guys one thing with this machine, and I guarantee you, is it won't work if it's not used.
But don't worry.
So
We have a schedule.
That's good. That's great, actually.
Yeah, because we didn't. We weren't killing each other.
What happens with these in some instances is that, and I don't want to make any assumptions either, but you find that, yes, it does take time to put the shorts on. Yes, sometimes there's some calibration issues with the machine. Sometimes there's some noise issues. And again, it's not for every patient, but if the patient can benefit from it, like you and I in our early conversations, like it's just good. Like
Right.
it works.
Right.
So, and you have to really get creative. Think of it as I always say it's a progressive loading tool. It just so happens to have a treadmill. You don't even necessarily have to turn the treadmill on.
Mm-hmm.
So get creative with it, have fun with it. They're fun at the end of the day. It's a fun product to sell, truthfully, too, selfishly.
It's great.
But
It helps a lot of people.